Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Maddox AI and Customer Success Summit. You are currently watching AI Powered CS, the ultimate guide for CS leaders. I'm very excited to introduce our speaker today. And as I introduce her, I'm going to have her answer our icebreaker question. What would you use AI to automate in your life outside of work? So today, we're lucky to have Emilia D'Anzica, managing partner and founder at Growth Molecules.
Hi, Bex. Thanks so much for that question. I've been listening in on all the other sessions and wanted to pick something different. So I live in Sonoma County, California. We have lots of fertile land to plant and grow crops. So I would use AI to tell me exactly when to plant my seeds and in what type of soil, because I lose countless hours nerding out on figuring out what seed I should plant when and where. It's very disappointing when nothing grows. So I think that would be super cool and save me tons of time.
I love that response. Makes everyone have a green thumb, which is always good.
Yeah.
Just a reminder to our audience, if you have any questions for Amelia throughout the session, go ahead and go to the Zoom control bar and click Q&A and drop your question there, and she will answer it at the end of the session. So I'll hand it over to you, Amelia.
All right. Thanks so much, Bex. And thanks to everyone who's joined us today. We're going to spend the next 25 minutes together and really learn about AI and how you can use it as a leader. But since I can't see any of you, I thought it would be fun to start with all of you. Pascal's going to put up a poll, and I'd love to learn a little bit more about how your company is using AI. So curious for the people who are on the call today, how confident you feel leveraging artificial intelligence as a leader or whatever your role is in customer success. So I'll give it a moment and let's see who we have on the call today. And you can be honest and say you're exploring this and still trying to figure it out. I can't tell who's answering what. All right, we'll give it one more second and let's close the poll and let's see what people are answering. All right, so it looks like sort of is the main answer here, and I think that's a lot of that is a lot of what I've been hearing around in CS. And the reason I selected 2 years is that in a recent study that came out, it showed that the majority of people that are using AI have been using it predominantly in the last 2 years in their role. So today, our goal really is to talk about how can we improve the customer experience and, of course, customer success, operational inefficiency, and ultimately what every board member cares about, who we report to besides our customers, right, is increasing revenue. And there's an opportunity with AI, and that's why we're all here today. So give you a quick blurb about me and then just talk about the rise of AI in CS. There are a lot of unknowns, but there are a lot of things we do know. And the main reason why people are trying to figure out why to use it, and that's productivity, and then just the value and pitfalls and what you can do about it going into the future. All right, just a little bit about me. I'm the founder of Growth Molecules. We're a customer success advisory firm. We have a lot of companies right now coming to us as we're going through assessments or helping them build playbooks. How can we apply AI? And there's so much of it. Help us figure out where do we apply it and when. So I've included some examples of some platforms that we've evaluated and we're helping clients evaluate and implement. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, always love learning about new people. So please do. All right, so the rise of AI for CS. A year ago, very few people were talking about it, right? If you go to Twitter or your LinkedIn feed, I would say probably around last fall, it really became jargon, and now you hear about it all the time. You also hear that AI is going to replace customer success managers. And we know that's not true, but what it will replace, what will be replaced are customer success professionals that are not embracing it. So I didn't include the stat in here because I couldn't, I read the article, but I didn't have time to include all the sources or go to Netflix and actually find the job descriptions. But one article claimed that there are jobs out there that are paying $700,000 to $900,000 a year for people who can really understand and apply that type of knowledge across departments and organizations. So these jobs are not going away. Just like when I went to college at UBC, customer success professional as a profession didn't exist. So these new jobs are coming up. Yes, they may replace some of the roles you see in customer success, but the role building relationships is not going away. It's going to be amped and boosted by AI, and that is really exciting. So the opportunities across the customer journey is where we typically start talking about it. I always ask prospects that we're working with when we're evaluating how can we help you is, well, what's your customer journey? What are you currently doing to help clients? And I was at WalkMe for 3+ years as their VP of customer engagement. And they were one of the early companies who were really looking at artificial intelligence or understanding where is a customer failing with your product and how can something like a walkthrough help you. So looking at behind the scenes and then applying that just-in-time intelligence was incredibly helpful across the customer journey. So as a leader, if you're thinking about how can I help my customers with all of these platforms that are popping up, start by building a customer journey. Obviously, the client that we worked with here has been blurred out, but you can see here it can be an intense exercise. You want to bring in all the different organizations like product, marketing, sales leaders into a room, whiteboarding or using sticky notes or a Jamboard, whatever it is you use, and really understanding what is the customer journey, what can we automate and across one segments. And it's not ever going to be just a pure tech touch. And even at the highest level, your white glove customers, they want tech touch AI as well. Because if you think of someone like a CMO, if they're your champion, imagine how many products they're investing in. If you're asking them for an executive business review every quarter, the chances of them showing up every quarter are very small because they have so many other artificial intelligence platforms or whatever they're using that they're also leveraging, and they're just simply not going to. So if you can give them the data they need on a regular cadence to get ROI, this customer journey mapping exercise will really help you start understanding what can we apply and when to help the customer continuously get ROI from our product. So AI, not only externally, but also internally help productivity. And I want to do another poll here. I know we asked about yourselves and using AI, but curious also if we can just get the second poll to pop up. I'd love to know how many of you feel like your companies are starting to use AI effectively, given so many platforms have come up. I just was reading as we were waiting to start this that a company called Hugging Face just received $165 million from Salesforce in investment in these types of platforms. So they're not going away. Companies are taking them seriously. And curious how many of your companies are using them. Give it another second. All right, let's close the poll and let's see. So sort of, we're just getting started. Seems to be like the winner and a few yeses. All right. fantastic. I'd be so curious to know about the two people who said, yes, we're using it for 2+ years. That would be so interesting to learn about you. Maybe you can send me a LinkedIn message and let me know all about it. I'm curious. All right. So companies are starting to use it or dabble into it. It's not going away, but really it's helping you build personalized customer interactions. And this might sound counterintuitive, but if you know more about your client and you're able to put it in an email or presentation or a touch point throughout the customer's journey with your platform, I mean, imagine showing up on a kickoff and you know already everything that the salesperson has been talking to the customer about for the past 6 months without having a seamless handoff. That would automatically create a personalized customer interaction. And then I'll show you in a moment some companies that are coming out is there's more automated customer support. So you start typing in the question, automatically it helps you fill it in, and then all of the answers. And as the new workforce and the new user of platforms uh, earns more money and is becoming more of our decision maker, they have more experience, they don't want to pick up the phone. They don't want to talk to support, and they don't want to have a chat that's 20 chats back and forth. They'll close it and go find the answer on their own before they stick around. And for any of you who have kids, you probably know that just trying to get some sort of engagement with your teenagers, it's very difficult. They'd rather figure it out on their own than come to mom and dad for help. And then predictive analytics. So there's so many exciting things happening with customer success platforms, for example, really being able to understand what is the user going to do and why. Can we predict churn, for example? And this is the biggest buzz with Bard and ChatGPT. I know there's a lot of warnings about it. I'm an adjunct professor at St. Mary's College of California. The professors are constantly talking about this content generation. How do we still make it authentic? Are our students and our users actually writing their own content, or are we getting something that's just coming out of something like ChatGPT? So how do we still use these kind of platforms and yet create content that's applicable to our clients? And then feedback analysis. Too many companies collect CSAT and NPS and all other kinds of surveys and do nothing with the data. That's been one of my biggest frustrations with clients who have us do all this amazing work. We help them with the analysis and tell them how they can change the numbers, but they don't do anything about it. So now this can happen so much faster with feedback analysis through these platforms. I encourage you to take advantage of them and then use that information as a leader to go back to your organization and act. And then there's so many onboarding platforms out there. I won't name them all today, but they're coming up with some really cool things that you can help not only with capacity planning, right? As you're onboarding your customer success, as you're onboarding your customers, excuse me, but really help them not only to get a more personalized customer onboarding experience, but help get to their ROI faster. So the other ones, product recommendations on demand, for example, based on usage. Companies who have been doing this for a long time instantly come to mind: HubSpot and SurveyMonkey. They give you pieces of the product free or for a very low price. And then the minute you want to go use another one or they recommend the product, I noticed G2, for example, has recently started doing that with their review platform. They're able to quickly recommend products to you based on how you're using the platform. And then customer journey mapping, Mural, a Miro, a Jamboard, all of these different platforms are helping with the customer journey mapping because it's not stale, right? If you're not looking at your customer journey map, at least on a quarterly cadence or when you have a big product release, it's quickly becoming outdated and not relevant to your client needs. So already talked a little bit about this churn prediction and prevention. Nothing worse than when we're talking to a client and they are telling us they're going to give their notice on a platform. This typically happens the most with the CS platform. And I just shake my head and think, wow, these CS platforms, you talk about health scores, you talk about how you help companies predict this, but you're not predicting your own churn, your own prevention, and you're not acting on it. So I do believe this is going to change. With AI, you're able to get better health scores and act much faster. Uh, Language translation and localization. If you looked at this, especially for anyone who works at a global company, it's so important to localize content. Me being bilingual in Italian and English, whenever I go back to Italy, someone trying to say something that they would say in Italian to me, trying to speak to my children in English, it just comes out in the funniest way, right? Because it hasn't been translated except maybe with Google, but that's really going to change, and the localization will make it less funny and just as sincere. And then data-driven insights. This has just become such a jargon word, but really it's really going to be helpful, especially when you're doing those executive business reviews, having data that's applicable to those conversations. And Matic is doing that right now. And then we all want this, right? CSMs want continuous learning and improvement. I have my son works in tech as well, and when he left his job last year, and I said, Tyler, why are you leaving? You haven't been there long. He said, Mom, I've stopped learning. Like, I'm too young to stay at a company where I'm not continuously learning. So that's a huge opportunity with AI to be able to enable your teams and especially keep your team engaged. So some tools out there for you to consider. Matic, obviously, it's helping you automate the creation of your PowerPoint presentations with data that matters to your clients. So I'll show you that in a moment. And then Update AI. I'm biased. We use it at our company. It is just amazing. It's listening to your calls with your customers. And then when you're done with that call, not only has it recorded, but then it's telling you exactly how much each person is talking. It curates your emails for you to send the client. And while it's not perfect, you always want to put your own human touch to it. It saves so much time, and our team is just loving it. And then, as I mentioned, CSPs are really applying AI to their own platforms and understanding how can we better help our customers, help their customers, and prioritize. For teams who aren't using Grammarly, as a leader, make it a requirement. It is just so incredibly powerful. Even the free version. I have the paid version. I find so much value in it, especially because I write such long papers. I want to be able to really think about, how is my tone? Is it more business-like, more friendly? And so this is really an incredibly powerful platform that just keeps getting stronger and stronger. Forethought for support, it's really leveraging Chat GPT to help support teams, which I just love. And then Cast App. And this platform, I've been watching it grow over time. It really automates what CSMs do. So for your low touch customer segments, something like Cast App is really incredible. They're able to mimic that human experience, but with someone that looks like a human, but is not. And so Matic, I mentioned, it's a presentation enhancer. I recently got a demo with it. And it showed me how I would be able to help our clients, for example, give a more personalized EBR. And the best example of how a company would use this is, we were talking to a prospect yesterday, and I was asking, what are your biggest pain points that your CSMs are having? And they said, you know what, we have a really high NRR, we have a really high gross retention rate as well, but our executives are not showing up at the quarterly business reviews. They ghost them. They say they'll be there, but they're not there. And I ask the usual questions, what are you putting in these presentations? Well, that's part of the problem. It's always the same content. So being able to give really customized information is incredibly powerful. And it doesn't have to be in person necessarily. Just like Grammarly, Slack, a lot of these platforms will send you a report. HubSpot, they send me, as the owner of these platforms for our organization, all of this incredibly powerful data in a beautiful presentation that I can quickly look through. And then if I want to talk about it, I can call our CSM and have more in-depth conversations. So pitfalls that we should all be aware of. Let's start with the positive first. I always look at everything in a positive way first. You want to embrace AI as a leader to help your team gain confidence. It is so amazing when a CSM is able to go to a customer conversation, talk to an executive, and feel like they have the right tools. They didn't scramble to put together that presentation or spend needless hours trying to aggregate data and make sense of it. And this is a really powerful reason why AI can help you. Obviously, automation. How many times as leaders are you on your team's back about getting that data in their CSP or CRM? This can do a lot of the work for you. And then, of course, speed. Your CSMs can get back to their customers and have real conversations so much faster if they're not doing things that is now being automated, or that they feel very uncomfortable doing. So they put it off until the last minute, and then it's poorly done. And that presentation or that conversation doesn't come off as naturally and successfully as it could have. And then the pitfalls. Data coming together right now is inaccurate. People are talking about, make sure you check where this data is coming from before you just copy and paste something from Bard or Chat GPT. Actually look at the sources, because a lot of the data that is being aggregated may have gender biases, may have data that is from years ago with discrimination not being taken into account. So always you want to check the sources of where's this data coming from. And then the other is data privacy issues. We see this with the government right now, really questioning AI companies. All right, well, you're aggregating all this data. How do we know that you're keeping it safe? Nothing worse than, for example, when LastPass recently, and I'm a customer, I panicked and changed all my passwords, is that data breach, right? You want to make sure that the data is safe, and your customers are going to be asking you, if you're an AI company, how do we know you're keeping the data anonymous as you're aggregating it? And then the fear of lack of transparency, right? So not knowing where there's data is coming from is scary. And again, as leaders, you need to not only be able to explain it to your team, but you need to be able to explain it to your customers. So when we're doing this with customers and they're asking us to help them evaluate a platform, obviously we use our own methodology, scored. We're trying to understand, what is the strategy behind it? How's it going to be communicated to your customers, to your CSMs? How are they going to learn it? Based on the cost, what's the ROI? And then, of course, the impact. One of the biggest pitfalls when you're purchasing an AI platform is, who's going to operationalize it? How is it going to scale once it's implemented? who's managing it. So making sure you have someone who's operationalizing it is critical. And this is the number one reason I think CSPs fail when a company puts in a customer success platform is they blame the platform for not working. But when we look under the hood and we're trying to help them, it's actually, it just hasn't been optimized. It's not being fully utilized. So the operational piece is important. And then relationships. AI should be augmenting relationships, not destroying them. So how can we multi-thread with AI? How can we get more relationships throughout a large organization, for example, with the platform? And then the execution piece is so important because as humans, we hate change. We're comfortable doing what we're comfortable, even if we grumble about it. We want to make sure that we fully understand why is this change happening and what's in it for me. And then, of course, data aggregation, security, biases, all the pitfalls that I talked about, you want to be conscientious of. And so the future, 3 things I'll leave you with. I know I'm being told I have very little time. It's full of possibilities. There are many unknowns. Embrace them, lean into them. And then I believe we're just getting started, and I'm just really excited about it. So thanks, Bex. Thanks, Pascal, for having me on today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amelia. I think we have time for one question. So, from the
Great.
audience, how are you seeing CS teams assess ROI, cost benefit analysis, with AI initiatives they are pursuing?
Yeah, so the number one way I would say is look at your top 3 pain points and your North Star. What is your company revenue goals? Where do they want to be? And then what are the top pain points you have and where's the gap? Can this help me reach my North Star and alleviate the pains that the CSMs are having if they're not being able to predict churn and there are a lot of ahas or ghosting, or they're losing their champion and then there's no multi-threading, there's no one else in the company to go to. That's how you can start justifying the ROI of a platform, for example.
With that, we do have to end our session. Any questions we weren't able to get to, we'll be passing along to Amelia. So she will answer them. And then when the session recording is live in our new resource hub, we'll include the answers to those questions. So thank you so much, Amelia, for such an educational session. I think all of us learned a lot from you today. And thank you to everyone else for attending.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Bye.